So on October 29th, the Sun will enter into Lupus constellation. Lupus the Wolf. Lupus is a very old constellation, first catalogued by Ptolemy. It was not associated with the wolf until the Renaissance times. The Greeks called the constellation Thorium, which means wild animal, and the Romans knew it as Bestia, the beast. The stars of Lupus used to be part of Centaurus constellation, and they represented an animal sacrificed by the centaur. The centaur was holding the animal toward an altar, represented by our constellation. So I'm not sure if this Lupus constellation is equivalent to the beast in the Bible, but it's definitely something to consider. Thothean Grid. The collective consciousness of black magic Greeks were controlled and installed by the consciousness of an Atlantean teacher and solar lord archetype Aleister Crowley and his mentor Thoth, and the negative aliens. So the negative aliens means demons, but on this website they use aliens. Okay, so I believe different types of demons or entities. So I assume you guys know what I'm talking about. According to remote session intelligence collected and guardian mentorship, Aleister Crowley is a key figure in cooperating with the NAA, starting from gray alien contact with an entity called Iowas, made in Cairo, Egypt in April 1904. The manipulation of consciousness technology and the world of forces for service to self and negative ego purposes without regard for the consent or consequence of others. There are many different levels of the propagation of black magic. Black magic is a form of Satanism. Advanced SRA rituals include blood sacrifice, pedophilia, sodomy, that are considered the path to the Typhonian tradition used in order to manifest immortality for the people engaged with these NAA forces, which they consider to be more powerful than Christ. Thoth. Recently, the Anunnaki Thothean controlled grid network called the Phoenix Grid Spike Site in the astral plane in the 4D Stargate area of the Cairo, Egypt, that feeds on the Golden Eagle grid, has been made obsolete in certain areas of the planetary circulation system. This means that critical area where the NAA controllers siphon human energetic consciousness power and redirect it back into their artificial machinery systems are failing. In the percentage they need to power the global mind control and other NAA systems. Thothean Anunnaki language was given to Crowley at the turn of the century in order for him to be the human embodiment that was necessary to bring this black magic language into the physical realms, which continued the Atlantean Brotherhood War and its Atlantean conspiracy in this reality system. Crowley was manipulated through his own massive ego of patriarchal superiority, greed, genetic elitism, egomaniacal selfishness, and sexual deviance to install a vast circulatory system of ley lines of control for Thothean interests. This is synonymous with defining the structure of satanic forces which run the reversal energies in black magic grids. He was groomed in the United Kingdom, the location of the last of the lost Atlantean colonies from 11,005 years ago, with the government heads, reptilian central leaders such as Winston Churchill, grooming him to be its special operation for the Black Sun program, and the sons of Belial Black Forces, which were trained in the British Secret Service. He was a primary operative used for directing psychological spiritual warfare in the purposeful mind controlling Hitler for the Black Sun programs and received much material and earthly power for his cooperation on multiple dimensions. Aleister Crowley was contacted in Cairo, Egypt in 1904 by negative-grade reptilian aliens to begin his indoctrination to support the negative alien agenda. He was instrumental infiltrating the secret societies where he gave consciousness tools, rituals, and artifacts to the Illuminati. This began the human history of Black Ops, shadow government, the military-industrial complex which shared negative alien technology in exchange for human souls, human abduction, and genetic mutation experiments. In most cases, these souls were ritualized and bound in the Thothian black magic to entrap them so they could be siphoned. Child sacrifice, because it was a Crowley birthday on October 12th and many Satanists pay homage to him on that day. I will talk about why Crowley is synonymous with all black magic, black sex magic, and pedophilia. It was this man that brought Satanist architecture through powerful Atlantean technology at the turn of the century, and he was given the information in Cairo by the NAA reptiles by his then possessed wife, Rose. Shortly after, she killed herself, and they knew he would psychologically break from the power he was given over others, and he did. Insanity and power consumed him, and he was responsible for laying the Satanist architecture into the planetary logos body and planetary heart chakra. All Satanist activity on the planet fits into Great Crowley is responsible for. This Phoenix Grid network is a subsidiary feed line into the UK Lebanon Reversal Grid NRG and the Golden Eagle Grid. The Phoenix Grid Network Peace Show is a 45-degree pyramidal triad from UK London through Belgium, Germany into Iran Gate 10th Gate. The bottom then slice east into the Cairo wormhole and back up into the UK gate. From Cairo moving down vertically into Africa is a massive feed line being agitated into Uganda, Rwanda, Zimbabwe, all the way down to the tip of South Africa. South Africa tip has had a 3D timeline frequency fence put into the landmass energy system, and this is to incite more of the 3D frequency fence, mind control, enslavement, and to instigate fear and pain in the vertical line, moving north-south to throw off the Great White Lion Elohim system. Alpha Draconis, Orion group or Draconians are going after children 0 to 12 because they receive power in their soul light or blood when it's used in soul binding ritual. They can possess or bind a soul in a child's body easier than an adult, and they believe it will give them immortality. NRG, an in-depth awareness of the power inherent in the alchemy of polarity of forces as used in SRA ritualized practices, which were practiced and made popular by Aleister Crowley, AC, is the energetic theme of comprehending with exacting clarity how these off-planet forces have created the NRG in the UK. The NRG are designed specifically to split gender polarity and promote the abuse and trauma of both male and female sexual energies through the archontic deception behavior of satanic and Luciferian forces. AC was indeed used for this NAA agenda and was surreptitiously orchestrated to connect with Britain's monarchy to help maintain its crown in World War II, and those responsible for ensuring that the power of Britain and the chosen power elite would be maintained as the controlling world power. Stonehenge, the 11th Stargate of the United Kingdom, landmarks are a headquarters for the Negative Alien Agenda and NAA, or Reptilian Central, the sons of Belial. So keeping these interests protected would be a political priority. Child sexual abuse. There is a clear relationship between satanic ritual, blood sacrifice, and child sacrifice and pedophilia. The possessing parasitic entity in its human host uses the pure essence of a child's life force and soul energy to feed, siphon, usurp, or bind it into servitude. Practicing Satanists are educated in how to use SRA to create dissociative identity (DID) and mental body fragmentation in their own children and child relatives in order to bind the soul body to an extra-dimensional satanic entity. Through the binding of servitude, the parents, the bloodline lineages, are allowed to remain in power of the financial and economic resources on the earth. This is the deceased seed of the negative alien agenda. Hitler, Nazi occultism. Following the rise of Adolf Hitler, who discovered the society after he had been ordered to spy on them, Solobottendorf's newspaper was bought out by Dietrich Eckart, a Bavarian Catholic who had helped form the German Workers' Party, bringing the newspaper under German rule for obvious reasons. It was Eckart who introduced Hitler to the more esoteric ways of the world, and it was Eckart who transcribed Mein Kampf. When they came to power, Hitler set up the SS, a secret order of the Silver Star, who went out initiating people into the esoteric mysteries. Eckart himself was highly influenced by Eastern mysticism and was a follower of Aleister Crowley's movement. In fact, some researchers have been claimed that Aleister Crowley influenced the Nazi occult movement to such a degree that it may have been through him the secret Dark Brotherhood were working and thereby influencing Hitler and his crew. Grey aliens, the last sentence. Greys are telepathic and use mind-to-mind mentoring techniques through strong thought projection made through the eyes to connect an optic nerve communication method. This form of mental telepathy and psychic power directed via thought is called psionics. Typhonian tradition is sometimes defined as a current that flows through the cosmology of the Order Templi Orientis. Typhon was the god in Greek mythology who, when appearing before the other gods, was so ugly he changed into a fire-eating monster. He waged a terrible war and was eventually killed by one of Zeus' thunderbolts. Thus, Typhonian is synonymous with fire, and force also means the opposer. Typhon's Egyptian counterpart is Set or Seth. Most witches, myself included, find it necessary to study his material and plug themselves into the magical current of Crowley's demon spirit guide, a mysterious being named Aiwass. Aiwass is another name for Set, an Egyptian god. Sodomy is especially sacred to Set. It opens what are called the Typhonian tunnels, channels through which extremely powerful demons, like the horrible Taransan, can travel from the alternate reality and emerge into this universe and enter the sex partner's body. Baphomet. The Baphomet became an important figure within the cosmology of Kalama, the mystical system established by Aleister Crowley in the early 20th century, Baphomet features in the creed of the Gnostic Catholic Church, recited by the congregation in the Gnostic Mass, in the sentence, "And I believe in the serpent and the lion, mystery of mystery, in his name Baphomet." In Magick, Book 4, Crowley asserted that Baphomet was a divine hydrogen and the hieroglyph of arcane perfection. The devil does not exist. It is a false name invented by the Black Brothers to imply a unity in their ignorant muddle of dispersons. Sexual mystery exploitation. Seducer archetype is very energetically profitable to siphon for an negative ego controlled by sexual addiction and hooked into the mass consciousness sexual mystery program and belief systems. Aleister Crowley's main form of mind control programming so that he would be hooked into the addiction webbing and completely controlled by, like a NAA puppet, was to exploit his seducer archetype into sexual mystery. Thus, he was developed into a sexual deviant. He was not engaged in any form of sexual magic. Crowley was exploited as a sex and drug addict that predictably could be easily led by his alien handler. This seducer method is very successful in controlling human beings into subservience to fit the predator mind agenda. It is used often to manipulate and control both men and women into addiction and then slow fermentation. This is clearly what has become several years ago those dating app introduced to the world is for this purpose, to lead everybody to sexual deviant and so that the demonic powers can then fragment each person's soul. When a human being is choosing to play out the game of seducer, they are in unconscious consent to be energetically implanted to feed the NRG network and spread its NRG implants. The NRG and the Michael Mary reversal are systems of which are designed to split apart male and female energies in so that internal balance is not capable of being achieved through the consistent abuse of one's sexual energies or gender energies. The seducer archetype is enmeshed with the Baphomet reversal mother and or satanic fields in the earth layers at the second chakra and the second dimensional layers. Crowley's misconception was the Baphomet represented union of opposites, when it was actually a deviant collective field that fed upon the hijack of human sexual energies through unholy unions. An unholy union is the sexual act with forces of negative ego, such as lust, hate, selfishness, etc. Whatever consciousness one has while in the sexual act, one of love and kindness for their partner, or its opposing force of hatred or lust, is what is created by the combination of forces made in the gender sexual relations. Crowley, Churchill, and Hitler. The Atlantean overlord conspiracy was reviewed through contemporary times, with 3 key members based in the UK that laid the blueprint and were utilized and participated willingly in this painstakingly precise process of the Illuminati NWO agenda, or activating the Armageddon software. Aleister Crowley is the first in the sequence of the timeline, and it was revealed he was an incarnated solar Templar law that was one of the abusers of the power from the Atlantean time cycle. He was quite vengeful and spiteful, believing first personal will over the law, and that he would indeed make his mark, it is interesting to note that he despised and hated his mother, which is an easy recipe for satanic infiltration. He was a master alchemist, manipulator, sexual deviant, and blood ritualist, misogynist, and was able to command the elemental forces and several kingdoms such as Elemental and Divec. He was cultivated and grown to become who he was responsible to be by the Grey Aliens, and these NAA sector forces shortly after picked him as a point person on Earth. They went on to introduce themselves to the world governments, specifically in the UK, where Winston Churchill was being simultaneously groomed for power, corruption, exploitation in the UK interests to serve the reptilian power base. After all, in this world there's no heroes, no villains, they all are one that are possessed by the demonic forces to serve the master, Satan.